All right, this video is to show how we can sync our grading system Aspire to Canvas. There's a few things that we need to do before we can even get to that point where we're syncing our grades. And what I need you to do is you're going to start on your assignments page. So if you've already created a bunch of assignments, then you're going to have all of the assignments listed here, even ones that are created as quiz. So if you know these icons, this is like a submittable assignment, like a text box or something. This is a quiz. The rocket is a quiz. So all of them are just things that we assign to students. Now, all of mine currently are showing up in one category called imported assignments. I want to separate them so that they match the categories of my gradebook. So I'm going to do plus group. That will create a new group, and I'm going to call this one imported assignments. Means it came from another Canvas course and was imported into that one. I want one that's just assignments, so that when it imports, it's going to still fall in that imported one, and then I can move it to wherever I want it to go. So assignments. And so I can still see my imported assignments, and down here at the bottom is my assignments category. So I want to start moving things, and I'll create some more groups in a second. A few things that you can do to move. If it's real close by, I can just drag it down. That will move it. I can click on these three dots here and move to. I want to move it to not the imported assignments, but to the assignments category. You can decide I want at the top or at the bottom. I'm going to go at the top. You can even choose before, after, all of those same sort of settings that we have for other things when we move it. And now it moved it down. So since I've got a lot to do, and some of them are going to need to be quizzes, some of them are going to be in-class things, and some are going to be assessments, I'm going to do add group, and I'm going to create groups for all of my Aspire categories. So I already have my assignments. Another category I have is in-class. Another category I have is assessments. And another category is quizzes. And so again, I can see all of those categories appearing down here, and I'm just going to start moving assignments. So you guys who are working, you can take some time and start sorting through. It does take a while to get all of them sorted. I believe once you do it once, as you copy classes over in the future, it should keep them sorted. So hopefully we only have to do this just this one time. A lot of them I can just drag down. But again, some of them I might need to do the three dots, move to, and choose that category. Another option, so I'm going to move this quiz one out of here real quick. So move that quiz one into my quiz category. Now it's down here in quizzes. And as I go through this, I'm like, wait, that's an assignment, 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 assignment. Most of these are assignments. So if I wanted to, if I click on these three dots here, I can move all of the contents into that assignment category instead of doing it one by one. I don't want to do that right now because this is an in-class one, and this is a quiz. So I might move those individual ones that belong somewhere else first. That's going to move to in-class. This is going to move to quiz. But then once I've got enough of those moved over, then I can say, okay, all the rest, I just want them to move to the assignments category, and I want them to be at the top. That clears my entire imported assignments with everything that I hadn't already sorted up here in the assignments. Make sense? Okay. All right, now that all of these are sorted into their different categories that align to Aspire, you're going to notice that as it was asking me to move them, it gave me choices above or below, before, after. The order that you see them listed here does not matter. So if I still have them in a module in a different order, this doesn't matter. This is just for OCD sake. If you want them in a certain order, you can put them there. But as far as I can tell, this has no impact on anything as how it transfers. Okay, now that we've got our assignment sorted, the next thing that we need to do is we need to tell these categories to go to certain places in Aspire. So this is how we create our groups. If I wanted to add an assignment, it would be this one. This gives me some other options. So click on this three dots here. And this is where the magic happens. You need to sync your SIS categories. So when I click on that, it pulls up this dialog box. Right now it's communicating with Aspire saying, okay, let's see what categories you already have in Aspire. I don't want my imported assignments to connect to anything, because if it's in the imported assignment category, that means I just haven't sorted it yet. So I'm not going to do anything with that one. But my assignments category, now I have 2 sections of this class, so I could say this section, I want it to go to this one. For this section, this is my fake class, so this is what I'm going to use. This category, I want to sync with the assignments category in Aspire. Notice that it says assignments term 1. What I'm imagining, because I'm just learning this now, but I'm imagining at term 2, it will give us the option for a term 2 sync, and then I might have to go in and adjust that. Otherwise, in term 2, if I haven't made this change, it's probably still going to be adding it to my term 1 grade. So my assignments category in Aspire, or my assignments category in Canvas will sync with assignments in Aspire in class. And this is why I named them the same thing. I want my in-class category to sync to my in-class term 1. I'm not going to do anything since this is a real class, so I'm not doing it to both sections. But if you have multiple sections of the same class, you'll want to make sure that you assign that for both sections. Same thing, assignments, I want that to sync with, or sorry, assessments, I want to sync with assessments. And quizzes, I want to sync with quizzes. Yes, Leslie. It doesn't have to be worded. I choose to word it the same way so that I remember that if I'm labeling it a quiz in Canvas, it's going to go to the quiz in Aspire. When I was doing this with another teacher, their words were slightly off. They called it in class in Canvas, but then in Aspire it was like participation. That's fine. The wording doesn't need to match. I make the wording match so that I understand what I'm doing. And again, nothing's going to happen until I save it and sync these categories, and you're going to see successfully synchronized categories. It still is showing 2 are unassociated because I'm not associating imported with anything. 1 unassociated because my real class that I don't want to sync to this, and then my fake class that I'm using for training. So now it's going to, when we officially make these changes, when we officially sync it, it's going to put that in the correct category in Aspire. So I'm going to close out of that dialog box. The next step is whatever assignment you want to sync, it has to have a certain setting. You can do this from the assignments page, you can do it from the modules page, you can do it anywhere. Do you see this icon right here? That icon says sync to SIS is enabled, and I can click it to toggle. So now that icon means it's disabled. It will not sync. It's not going to pull up. So that's just a quick way to make that change. I just discovered that like 2 nights ago. You can see these ones down here are not set to sync. I can keep them that way. I can make that change at any time. Actually, I wonder. I don't think this one will let me. Yeah, this one will not let me change it, and you can see the dialog box why. It needs to have a due date. I have not set a due date in Canvas, and so it's not going to allow me to sync it because it will need a due date in Aspire when it syncs. So another place that you can make these changes, click on any assignment. I like doing it from that main page, but as I'm getting ready to assign this to students and I'm making these edits, I can change what it's worth. I can, at this point, change the assignment group. I want it in assignments. Oh no, just kidding, it's a quiz. I want to change it to quiz category. So you can make those changes there. Scrolling down, sync to SIS. You can check or uncheck that box, and that's another way that you can change it. As you're creating individual assignments, you can make these changes. You can set up these settings. And oh, this is not the one that didn't have a due date. So this is a due date. That's why it's allowing it to sync to SIS. Yes. So again, from the assignments page, if I want this one to be able to sync to Aspire, I need to go in and edit. First, giving it a due date. You don't even have to worry about the available and lock dates, but if we wanted to, now I can check that box because it now has a due date. Okay. those are all the steps that we need in order to make that sync happen. And now I'm going to go to my gradebook where I had students complete these fake assignments. I have some grades in here, so I am ready to make that sync happen. From our gradebook, we've got the settings here that we need to pay attention to. So on the settings, the gear icon, this is really handy, our late policies. This is really important. Automatically apply grade for missing submissions. You can apply a 0%. But what happens when you apply 0% and you sync it into Aspire, it now gives them a 0 instead of a missing. I like the missing code because it affects their grade like a 0, but to me a 0 is you did it, but you did terribly, you earn 0 points versus you just haven't even done it yet. So I actually do not check that box. I don't want it to apply a grade automatically. And I'll show you what that looks like, but really truly what it does when we sync it over, it leaves it blank so that we know there's no grade, they didn't do it, I'm going to go in and input that missing code. So do not automatically apply the grade. This one can also be kind of interesting. Automatically apply deduction to late submissions. So if they don't get full credit because it's late, this is where you can apply that. Now Canvas works, it's actually really kind of mean. I just do, if it's late one day, if it's late 1 week, it's the same. You just get a 20% deduction. This is what's really interesting. It can be a 20% deduction every day. Every single day that it's late is an extra 20%. You can even say every hour that it's late is a 20% or a 1% deduction. So I say, let's just make it a 20% deduction every day that it's late, and it will keep on deducting points until it reaches 0%. I'm trying to be generous and nice, so I say that the lowest possible grade due to lateness is 80%. I know. So what does that mean? Unfortunately, let's say you can see, I'll have to show you on an, oh, right here. Let's see, this student earned 3 points, okay? So that's technically less than the 80%. It will keep that 3 points. It is not going to bump it up to an 80%. It's going to keep those 3 points. But because their score is lower than it would be if it were late, they keep the low score. So they don't do 80% of the grade, they do 80% of what was possible. Or whatever grade they earn, whichever is lower. Any questions on that? When I apply this setting, it's going to apply that to any assignments that are already in there. So even if a kid already turned it in late and I gave them the full points, it's going to go back and it's going to make that adjustment. So, okay. Now after that, now we are ready to sync this. Yep, it's ready. Okay, actions, sync to SIS. And this is a list of all of the assignments that I have already chosen I want to sync to SIS. I don't want to sync all of them all at once. It will take a really long time. I'm just going to focus on maybe these two, text box and file upload. All the others are unselected, so they will not sync over to Aspire. I am going to click Post Grades. It's going to open another dialog box. It's scheduled. Click to see progress. Sometimes this can take a minute. I get very antsy, so I click on it and it's running and I get really impatient and I refresh it 2 seconds later. Oh, but it's completed. Sometimes it takes a long time. That was pretty fast. There was only 2 assignments, only 8 students, so it happened pretty fast. So it is now complete. So now let's go to Aspire and let's see what that looks like. Okay, and you can see these are the scores for those students. Again, they showed up in the assignments category because they were assignments. Nothing in the in-class quiz or assessments. You can see, come on, come back over. Okay, you can see these students didn't do the work, right? And so it left it blank, which I can then go in and input as M missing. That way it affects their grade as if it were a 0, but they know it's missing and they can still do it for credit. And that's it. So I'll do that one more time so that you can see the different categories. I'm going to go back to that grades. I think I have some quizzes. I want to try and choose some quizzes. I don't have any quizzes. Again, I don't want to sync all of these. These ones were already synced. I don't want to sync them again. So I'm going to come down here. I know that this was an in-class one, and just for funsies, I'll do that one at the same time. So this one should appear in the assignments category. This should appear in the in-class category. You can see some other information. This is the last time I did a sync, so you can always tell, wait, did I sync that one or not? I can't remember. You can see when that was done. I'm going to post grades again. Getting antsy, want to see that progress, and it's still running. You can click on this and get some other information. So if I've made some sort of mistake, they will give me some error reports and we can kind of work through those. But if you follow these steps, it should take care of most of those error reports. So I'm going to refresh. It looks like it's completed now. So I can come back in here, refresh my Aspire. There's that in my own words. I'm going to enter these missing scores. And here's my in-class category. It didn't come over. Cool. Got to troubleshoot that one. Oh, I apparently didn't select it. I thought I did. Okay. So I'm not sure why that didn't post. But apparently it didn't sync, so that means I can still choose it. And hopefully it'll show up again. But yeah. I have two very similarly named assignments, so I'm not sure which one it is, if it was this one or this one. But this one is not set to sync. Now it will sync. So we should be good to go on that one. You know what? I also wonder, I chose this one to sync, but technically, do you see the due date is tonight at 11:59. So I'm wondering if it's not allowing me to sync it because the due date hasn't officially passed. This due date has passed since that was yesterday, so maybe that's why it's not going to let me sync it. So let me go back to that grades one more time. And actions, I'm going to try and sync one more time. I don't remember which one it was. But again, I don't want to sync all of them. I want to do some quizzes because I now have published those quizzes. And maybe try that one again. Post these grades. So I'm going to hopefully have something show up in my quiz scores. Click to see the progress. See, waiting now. I get so impatient. Stage 4 of 9. Completed. Okay, let's take a look now. Quizzes! Yes, they showed up now. So I have some quizzes that are in there, and let's see if my in-class, it still didn't show up, and I think it didn't show up because of that due date issue. Now that means after the due date officially passes, because it's not on that sync list, I probably will have to choose it to sync it again. Okay, that's all that I have to say. You can just continue to repeat that process. Each time you need to sync your grades, each time you create an assignment, make sure you choose those settings, and that's it. Any questions? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.